Before we get into behavior analysis and statements surrounding the death of Anna Kepner, here is a short recap for anyone new to the story. Anna Kepner was found deceased on a Carnival Cruise, hidden under a bed, wrapped in a blanket. The official ruling was homicide by mechanical asphyxia, yet no one has ever been convicted. Evidence was limited, accounts from that night are unclear, and many details remain unanswered. This video is part 2, where we examine behaviors, statements, and timelines surrounding the people present that night. If you haven't watched part 1, it covers the discovery, autopsy findings, and early investigation. Watching that first will make this breakdown easier to understand. Before we continue, like this video, subscribe, and comment your thoughts as we go. Your engagement helps push this case into the spotlight and supports future investigations on this channel. Now that we're all aligned, let's move deeper into the people who were with Anna during her final known hours. Before we discuss behaviors, statements, or red flags, we need to establish the cast of people present around Anna on the night she was last seen alive. Every disappearance case depends heavily on understanding proximity, who was near her, who interacted with her, and who may hold pieces of the timeline that still don't align. Anna Kepner was on a family cruise, a trip meant to be fun, relaxing, and memorable. Reports indicate that she was traveling with her stepbrother, along with other family members, who were all sharing the same cabin space or accommodations nearby. Unlike cases involving strangers or remote locations, this one unfolds in a confined environment, a ship at sea. Meaning whoever was involved, if anyone was isolated with her on board until docking. Witness statements claim that Anna was seen throughout the day, eating, walking through common areas, enjoying cruise activities like any other passenger. Staff and other travelers recall normal behavior, nothing obviously concerning, no visible distress. She blended into the rhythm of the vessel like everyone else. But as the evening moved on, details start to blur. We know she was last believed to have been in or near her cabin area. The stepbrother is one of the final confirmed people associated with her presence that night, which places his timeline under the microscope in later sections. Other family members were reportedly nearby, yet no one noticed her disappear in real time. There was no immediate alarm, no emergency search from the family themselves. Time passed before anyone realized she was missing, an important detail that will matter later. On a cruise ship, every cabin is connected through hallways, entertainment rooms, elevator access, and cameras, but not every corner is monitored. People come and go. Doors open and close. At night, movement blends into background noise. This is what makes identifying those present so crucial. We must know where everyone claims to have been when Anna was last conscious and accounted for. To understand any cold case, especially one with no convicted offender and multiple unanswered questions, timeline is everything. So let's lay out the hours leading up to Anna's disappearance, piece by piece, using only information publicly known through reports and documented recounts. Sometime during the evening, Anna was seen alive, interacting normally, engaging in typical cruise activities. Nothing unusual was recorded about her mood or behavior. She was not described as distressed, intoxicated, or acting in a way that raised immediate concern. She was a teenager on a trip, relaxed, social, and present. As the night progressed, she returned toward her cabin area, where her stepbrother and possibly other family members were nearby. This is where accounts begin to diverge slightly depending on who is speaking. Some statements suggest she entered the cabin willingly. Others indicate she was last seen heading toward it. But there is no confirmed external sighting after that point. Inside a closed cabin on a cruise ship, events become private. No cameras. No outside witnesses. The only people who truly know what happened in that window are those who were physically present or connected to her location. Reports say that time passed with no sign of Anna leaving the room, and yet, she was not immediately reported missing. This means there is a critical gap, a span where her presence was assumed, but not verified. Minutes became hours. During this time, nobody sounded an alarm. Nobody notified staff. Nobody asked where she had gone. This detail matters. Because when a person vanishes in a public place, the timeline between last seen and first noticed missing often determines whether evidence can be found. On a cruise ship, movement is constant. Passengers roam the decks, access bars, casinos, pools. People sleep, party, wander. If Anna left the room, no bystander is recorded noticing it. If she didn't, then everything that happened took place inside those four walls. At some point after the evening transitioned into night, Anna stopped being accounted for altogether. No witness placed her outside. No footage placed her in hallways. The timeline becomes dark, silent, and untraceable, until her body was later discovered in a place nobody expected. But before we get to the discovery scene, we need to examine one particularly important element: the role of her stepbrother's statements, and how they shaped police interpretation afterward. Now we shift to one of the most discussed parts of this case: what the stepbrother said happened that night, and how his statements align, or don't, with the known timeline. Again, this is not about accusation. It is about analysis. We are examining public records, interviews, and reported details, nothing more. The stepbrother was one of the last known people with access to Anna before she vanished. He later claimed that she had been in the room, alive, and present at one stage of the night. However, questions emerge around when he last physically saw her, and how much time passed before he realized she was no longer visible or responsive. Some reports say he believed she had gone to sleep. Others imply she may have left the room quietly, unnoticed. But there is no confirmed witness who saw her exit. No camera footage. No hallway confirmation. Only verbal accounts. Afterward, when questioned, the stepbrother's recollections reportedly shifted or lacked precise detail. Not dramatically, but enough that investigators and the public took notice. In cases involving enclosed spaces and small time windows, even slight inconsistencies become major focus points. For example, did she lie down and fall asleep? Was she left alone? Was music or conversation happening? Did anyone else enter or exit the cabin? At what point did anyone realize Anna was missing? These questions were asked, and remain asked, because answers influence the entire reconstruction of events. There are mentions online and in case discussions that he displayed unusual calmness, while others describe moments that felt inconsistent with the gravity of discovering a deceased relative. But calmness alone is not evidence. Emotional reactions vary, some panic, some freeze, some become quiet and logical. Behavior cannot convict. It only raises questions. In certain discussions, viewers have pointed out that his timeline seems incomplete, lacking definitive markers of time. When dealing with homicide rulings, this becomes a challenge for investigators, because a timeline without precision is difficult to verify, and even harder to disprove. It's also documented that family statements, including his, were used to piece together what little investigators had. With no video, limited evidence, and the unique limitations of being at sea, verbal accounts were the foundation of the case, which is why examining behavior and statements matters today. But to understand the full picture, we need to expand beyond just the stepbrother, and look at the entire family statement narrative, where inconsistencies and overlaps paint a bigger picture. To understand the behavioral side of this case, we now focus on the statements given by the family as a whole, what they said happened, when they said it happened, and how these accounts interact with one another. Remember, we are analyzing publicly discussed information, not accusing anyone. After Anna's body was found hidden under the bed, family members provided statements, but these accounts reportedly contained gaps, unclear time references, and differing recollections of the night. This is not unusual in traumatic situations, but in a homicide case, even small contradictions become significant. Some reports claim that different family members had slightly different memories regarding when Anna was last seen alive, whether she had been drinking or unwell, how long the group believed she was asleep, when they realized something was wrong, who searched first, and for how long, before authorities were notified. These aren't accusations, they are points where the narrative becomes muddy. One detail that has been repeatedly highlighted is the absence of urgency in reporting her missing. Hours reportedly passed before anyone insisted on searching thoroughly, and when Anna wasn't found immediately, the situation didn't seem to escalate in the way most families might react when a young woman is missing on a ship, an enclosed space with limited exits. Another notable point. Some family members claimed they thought Anna was simply resting or sleeping. On a cruise, with people relaxing and moving freely, that explanation might seem normal. But in hindsight, it becomes a central question. If she was believed to be sleeping, who checked? And when? Public discussions often point out that nobody has provided a solid timeline of when Anna was last physically confirmed alive, only verbal recollections. Without forensic timestamps, statements become the backbone of the case, and any unclear detail can shift the entire investigative direction. Even during interviews later, recollections varied. Not drastically, but enough that investigators faced difficulty establishing a clear sequence of events. Some reports suggest emotional responses within the family seemed inconsistent, but again, emotional behavior is not evidence. People process shock differently. What stands out is the lack of a unified, consistent narrative. Not one family recollection aligns perfectly with another. This doesn't prove wrongdoing, but it does keep the case open to public scrutiny. And when you combine unclear statements with the fact that Anna was found hidden, not in plain sight, under a bed, a location unlikely to be accidental, it raises questions about what truly happened in those critical hours. Now, with statements and behaviors mapped out, we can look at what many call the red flags, although others argue they could simply be coincidence. In every unsolved case, there are details that catch people's attention, but it's important to remember, a red flag is not proof. It is simply something that stands out, something that demands a second look. So in Anna Kepner's story, we examine behaviors, decisions, and circumstances that many online viewers and true crime analysts have pointed out as unusual, while also acknowledging innocent explanations may exist. Some key observations discussed publicly. Anna was found hidden under the bed. Not beside it, not collapsed nearby, under it, wrapped in a blanket. People ask, why would someone hide a body instead of calling for help immediately? But others argue panic could push people into irrational decisions. Statements from family members were not perfectly aligned. Memory under stress is unreliable, missing details could come from shock. But inconsistency also leaves space for speculation. There was no clear missing person urgency. Anna wasn't reported missing quickly. On a cruise ship, where a person cannot simply walk away, time matters. Some ask, how does someone go missing without immediate alarm? Limited physical evidence. No clear signs of struggle announced, no confirmed weapon, no CCTV clarity. With little forensic material, behavior becomes the timeline. Stepbrother involvement in the earlier timeline. Some comments question his proximity. However, we remind again, proximity is not guilt. These points raise eyebrows, yes, but each one has two interpretations. Viewed as suspicious. Hidden body suggests concealment could be panic, timeline unclear, slow missing reaction, family statements differ. Stepbrother present. Viewed as innocent. Could be panic, confusion, shock. Memory distortion common in trauma, assumed she was resting or tired. Different people recall differently, normal if family was traveling together. This duality is exactly why the case remains unsolved. Nothing here directly proves intentional harm, yet nothing fully supports a simple accidental explanation. It is a tug-of-war between logic and uncertainty, suspicion and possibility. And that brings us to a core investigative question. Were these red flags warning signs, or coincidences amplified by hindsight? To explore that further, we move into why solving this case became so difficult for authorities. Before we assume intent or motive, we have to understand the limitations investigators faced. This wasn't a typical homicide scene. It happened at sea, in a confined, constantly moving environment, where evidence fades quickly and jurisdiction becomes complicated. When a death occurs on a cruise ship, especially one involving a minor or a suspicious circumstance, multiple agencies become involved: ship security, port authorities, and federal investigators. Each operates under different rules and timelines. And those delays matter. By the time authorities officially began a criminal investigation, hours had already passed since Anna was last seen alive. On a ship, that's an eternity. Cabins are cleaned. Beds are moved. Passengers walk through hallways. Entire sections of the ship shift with activity. This means critical forensic markers, footprints, fibers, fingerprints, may have been disturbed before anyone realized a crime had occurred. Even inside the cabin, the very location where Anna's body was found, the initial responders were not homicide specialists. They were cruise staff and general security personnel. Their priority was retrieval, not evidence preservation. Not because of negligence, but because cruise environments simply aren't designed to handle complex crime scenes. There's also the issue of limited physical evidence. Reports indicate there were no cameras inside the cabin, no confirmed hallway footage placing Anna at specific times, and minimal biological evidence to reconstruct a struggle. Without surveillance timestamps, investigators had to rely heavily on statements, which, as we've seen, were not perfectly aligned. Another factor? Passengers disembarked shortly after. Potential witnesses left the scene forever. Conversations that might have provided clues were never captured. And the environment, salt air, constant cleaning, thousands of people, isn't friendly to forensic recovery. All of this combined left investigators with a case built on partial information, unclear recollections, and a timeline that never fully crystallized. It's one of the reasons behavior analysis plays such a vital role, because the physical evidence simply wasn't sufficient. This wasn't an investigation that started with a clear cause, a clear suspect, and preserved evidence. It began with questions, gaps, and a scene already altered by time, movement, and confusion. Even after reviewing statements, timelines, and behaviors, the truth is that this case still has several major unanswered questions, and these questions are exactly why the public continues to push for clarity. These aren't accusations. These are the gaps left behind by limited evidence and conflicting accounts. Why was Anna found hidden under the bed? This remains one of the most haunting details. People don't accidentally end up concealed beneath furniture, wrapped in a blanket. Was this an attempt to hide her? Was it panic? Was it someone trying to delay the discovery? Or was there another explanation entirely that investigators haven't uncovered? We simply don't have the answer. How long was she missing before being discovered? Reports suggest hours went by where Anna wasn't seen, yet wasn't reported missing. On a cruise ship, where exits are limited, this is unusual. Why didn't anyone notice sooner? Why didn't anyone check on her earlier? What did family members believe she was doing in that time? The gap between last seen alive and found deceased is still blurry. Why is there no clear account of the moments leading up to her death? Multiple statements exist, but none provide a detailed, minute-by-minute account. Everyone seems to remember pieces, but not the full sequence. Was it shock? Was it confusion? Or is there information not yet shared publicly? Without clarity, the timeline remains a puzzle with missing pieces. Were all statements complete, or were key details unintentionally left out? When multiple people give recollections, inconsistencies are expected. But in a homicide ruling, even small omissions can change the direction of the investigation. Did someone misunderstand a question? Forget a detail? Assume something that wasn't true? This case depends heavily on memory, not physical evidence, making these gaps more consequential. These unresolved questions don't point to guilt. They point to uncertainty, and uncertainty is what keeps this case unsolved. And now, with all these questions on the table, we move into the final part of this video, bringing everything together and inviting the community to analyze the information for themselves. So, after breaking down timelines, behaviors, statements, and the unanswered questions, one thing becomes clear: this case is not simple. Every piece of information raises another possibility. Every statement opens another gap. And the truth remains buried somewhere between what was said, what was remembered, and what was never documented. Anna Kepner's death was ruled a homicide, yet no one has been charged. The environment limited evidence. The timelines are incomplete. And behavior patterns only deepen the mystery. This is why your analysis matters. Cases like this often move forward because everyday people keep asking the uncomfortable questions. So let me ask you. Whose account makes the most sense to you? Do the behaviors that night point to panic, guilt, or tragedy? And what do you think happened in those hours when Anna disappeared from the timeline? Drop your theories in the comments, I read every one. Your perspective might shine a light on an angle the public hasn't considered. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because in part 3 we'll be exploring crimes on cruise ships as a whole, the patterns, the loopholes, and why these environments are so difficult for investigators. Thank you for watching. And thank you for keeping Anna's story alive.